Okay, well, the type is really small, and I don't have great eyesight, but I'm gonna do my best at trying to. I'm not sure that I have no. I don't really know who Laura Solis Photons is. I don't know who this person is, but since my name is getting dropped, let me try and let me focus in as best I can on this incredibly small font and try and address this. Don Ford, Don, everyone knows that letter signed by 115 Bernie delegates. By the way, they weren't all fucking delegates, Laura. You're wrong. They were not all delegates. Some of them were a lot of Dem exiters who do not have delegate positions. So that's some bullshit. Okay. And, oh, and super volunteers. Okay, if you want to call them that, if you want to call them super volunteers, these are live streamers. These are people who don't do bullshit. All right, okay. It was penned by Katrina Bergstrom. That's true. Well, I mean, as far as I know, that's true that Lauren actually, that's what Lauren put out on Twitter, was that Katrina Bergstrom penned the letter. But obviously, Katrina did not have all the knowledge of those events. There's no possible way she had all the knowledge of everything that she put into that letter, all of the bogus, embellished ridiculousness that was in that letter. There's no fucking way that Katrina had that knowledge. So she was clearly using a network of people to feed her with their biased information. Lauren just wrote one paragraph about Jenna Beck. See, this is where, Lauren, I really don't know why you came after me so hard and why it was so weird. But your reaction to this entire situation was very bizarre. And, you know, being the childish person that you are, you're like, you have to make a choice between me and Don. And I'm like, well, Don's defending me against Tim right now, and you're not. And you're actually trying to work with Tim. That was what it boiled down to for me. Like, not to mention we're all adults, and why the hell are you trying to give me an ultimatum to choose between two people that I'm working with? Anyway, all right, point 2. Everything in that letter, which shows how you have delusions of grandeur and take credit for Bernie, AOC, even the Venice art scene, is backed up with screenshots of your own social media posts. It is you who fucked up the Tim Canova's campaign. His post about you in the letter as well. Oh, Laura. Well, okay, you were starting off well, because you're correct that Don does embellish his contributions. It is actually quite easy to get in with politicians, to show up to events, to drop a few words of advice, and then to be like that middle manager who takes credit for everything, right? That's very easy to do. But if you're trying to give a pass to Tim Canova, that's fucking ridiculous. Tim Canova screwed up his own campaign because he decided to shack up with a bunch of conspiracy theorists. All right. His post about you is in the letter as well. And you fucked up Mindy Messmer's campaign. I really have no comment on Mindy Messmer's campaign. All I know is what Don and Lily told me about their involvement in that campaign and how it went. Like, I think Mindy had issues of her own as well, but I'm not going to assign blame to one person, because all three of those people have issues. Okay, they all have issues. You bilked people for thousands of dollars to make a documentary that has never seen the light of day. That's absolutely true, Don. You did. And you probably entered that with good intent, but you're such a flake, and you seriously need therapy. Like, you're seriously dealing with some sort of depression or something going on that is preventing you from accomplishing any level of task. Like, every project you start out on, you end up screwing over horribly because you just don't want to finish it for some reason. That's on you. And you continue to blame Lauren, who is the opposite of neoliberal. That's some bullshit. Lauren has all sorts of issues, not to mention transphobia and her connections to this entire network of people who are getting Peter Thiel money. Give me a goddamn break. All right. She fights neoliberalism. Okay. And has an entire YouTube channel featuring protests she's organized or just covered. Mostly just covered, let's be real. The ones that she's organized have been very small, and it's like showing up at a street corner and singing um, Christmas carols that are have activist words in them. She, God damn, I worked with Lauren for a year, for over a year. She, the fact that you would justify her coming after me and I was just an innocent bystander in this bullshit. I got sucked up into this Hollywood crowd of crazy people. All right. Just covered, as well as interviews to prove it. Yeah, some of her interviews were incredibly fucking, oh my God. Like, I put Kevin Kensinger on her list and she tanked him so hard, asking him questions that applied to all the candidates. She's like, you have no experience. Nobody fucking running in my district had experience. And she was making it out like he was a bad dude for having no experience, but everybody else in the race did. That's some bullshit. You just have your own alcohol-fueled rants. That's probably true. Let's be real. It might be other things too, but other substances as well. But yeah, yes, he is an admitted drinker. Get help and stop defaming real activists. Okay, Laura, that was hit and miss. You're correct on some parts. You're off on other parts. Dawn, I did those things. Dawn, showing up to places, dropping some words here and there does not give you credit for every win. It doesn't give you credit. And by the way, you don't take any credit for the losses. I think that's where Laura's going with this, is that you show up, you take credit for the win, but you don't take credit for the loss. And no, you're not responsible for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She already had a ground operation going on. You and Lily just literally showed up, documented what she was already doing, threw a couple of words of advice at her. She was kind enough to give you a dialogue and be like, okay, yeah, you have some good ideas. And but she was literally already doing all this bullshit. And then she cut you off so fucking fast. And you're so butthurt by this. Because you were having fantasies. I'm not even going to go into that. All right. This is Dawn's response. I'm going to go through this bit by bit just to clear things up for you. This letter had nothing on Jenna Beck. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dawn. I do appreciate that. And everyone told me it was Lauren who passed it around and watched the letter constantly change. I didn't know that it was changing. Actually, I kind of, you know what? I kind of do remember something about that. I kind of do remember that it might have been like the language might have been changing. But Dawn, it was not just Lauren. Octavia Tui was also passing it around. Margarita LeCobb, all of the chicken cuckleheads. What's that reference from The Music Man? I'll drop it later. That song from The Music Man with the gossipy women. That's who it was. It was the whole collection of them were doing this together, and they were literally doing it for Tim fucking Johnson. God damn it, dude. All right. I did organize and build the movement, which is easy to prove. It's not easy to prove, Dawn. This has been in existence for decades. And just because you touch something doesn't mean that you make it magic. And you really need to stop acting like that, because everybody has enough information to prove you wrong on that point. I literally organized the Bernie Facebook groups. That's not true. Oh my God, dude. That is not true. I know you and I both know people who have more moderator prowess than you do in the Bernie groups. You're just like, well, but I know the people who did it, so I'm going to take credit for their work. Come on, man. I literally organized the Bernie Facebook groups, started the fundraising process, and pushed the delegate process through every phase. No, because you fucking skipped California, the largest delegation. I don't know what you think you did for the rest of the nation, but you fucking totally did not do anything with California because you're so scared of these people that you're constantly backing down. And you're scared of them because they can point to the same shit that I can point to, dude. As well as organized all the leaders into one larger group so we could all coordinate. I have everyone's phone number because everyone called me for approval on our Philly strategy. I have no idea. The rest of the activists in his national strategy chat, you're going to have to be the ones who say whether or not that actually fucking happened. I was a major part of starting the Venice art scene. Technically, Emery started it before me, and I worked directly with him. Okay, so the person he's referring to is Emery Rogers, who Don tried to run for Congress in 2018 against Ted Lieu. I like Emery. He's a quirky character, but there's no way he's ever going to win an election ever. And maybe he did. I don't know. I'm fairly certain, though, Don is a bit younger than me. Fairly certain there was an art scene in Venice long before he was even fucking born, but okay. And it's supercharged by starting VAMU. Venice Art Movement United, that ran for almost 4 years. Okay, so there might have been like one sort of movement going on in Venice for a while, but literally Venice has been known for art and music since long before the 60s. I mean, the fucking Doors lived there and shit. All right. That directly inspired the first Friday events, and they literally came to me for approval on the idea. Who's they? Who's they? Who are the leaders? Who's they? If you're going to go this far, drop some names. I did not fuck up Canova's campaign. I'll agree with that. Don was already on the outs by the time that Tim was fucking up his own campaign. Don was already on the fucking outs by the time Tim was fucking up his own campaign. I plucked Canova from obscurity for our convention strategy. That's fucking false, Don. He already was in the news and posting fundraising numbers long before anybody knew who the fuck you were. Okay, that's false. That's fucking false. And raised over $2 million for him. Did you? Okay, you did? Really? Can you lay out how that happened? Can you lay out, because the article I read predates you by quite a bit and says that he had already raised $1 million before he even knew who the fuck you were. I begged him to stay Dem and not run as indie. I think that probably did happen. I'm fairly certain that actually did happen. But he listened to Lauren and Nico. Oh, he probably listened to more than just Lauren and Nico. I'm fairly certain Peter Thiel is involved in this bullshit. And Alan Dershowitz was connected to the campaign too through Lauren. Because she literally had a lunch with him the day after I published my article talking about how Tim Johnson had sexually harassed me and how they were coming after you with the hit campaign. She literally had lunch with Alan Dershowitz the next day as I'm publishing that freaking article. I have an email between us that was sent publicly that explains all of that. The thing is, it's not just that you have information, Don. It's your interpretation of that information. It's how you perceive things. It's how you interpret the information that you receive. And oftentimes, your interpretation is wrong. I did not fuck up Mindy's campaign. Mindy's team did not want a man leading them. So they all got mad when I did my job, and the speech I wrote Mindy in 8 minutes got her in international news. I also have emails for that. I don't know. I guess y'all would have to ask Lily Starling on that, because Lily actually worked on that particular campaign with him. Lauren worked for literal neoliberals, and it is on her freaking LinkedIn. Okay, so I only got this much of the screen cap, Don, but did you happen to mention that you also then went to Levy Sanders and tried to get him to run against her in the same district? How you, exacted your vengeance on Mindy? Kind of like you do on everybody else who disagrees with you on any fucking point? I mean, if you want to act like you're constantly being torn down, and you know you're such a brooding soul that you know everybody's being mean to you. Have you talked at all about the shit that you do to other people? Levy won't even recognize you anymore because he realized what the fuck you did to him. He realized what you did in that race. He won't, I'm fairly certain that's why Levy won't deal with you anymore, is because you literally used him as a weapon against Mindy. Lauren worked for literal neoliberals, and it's on her freaking LinkedIn. I don't know. I don't care. Lauren Steiner is worthless to the movement because she keeps trying to convince everybody to leave the party and stop doing what they're doing. And I've covered this a million times. I've done plenty on Lauren. I don't need to go further there. The entire time she was sabotaging our movement, she was living in Beverly Hills as a 1%er. She just sold, just additional information, she just sold her house in Beverly Hills for like $4.7 million and moved to North Carolina. Lauren is not part of this movement. I don't know what her goals are and what her connections are, but she apparently is fairly connected to Epstein and Dershowitz. She's a clinger, but she doesn't actually organize anything. Why is there a symbol over here? I can't read that. And when she does, it's strictly to support herself. Yeah, that's true. And so that she can manipulate people like you into thinking the absolute horseshit you just said about me. Well, I mean, it's half-truths. And that's how conspiracies work. That's how smear campaigns work, Dawn. They're half-truths. Just like the fucking bullshit you've done to me, they're half-truths. You want to better yourself. You want to get yourself in a better place. Stop fucking lying about the people around you. Focus on where the actual lies are, like what Lauren is doing. Stop embellishing your credentials and be a team player. Fuck's sake, Dawn.